Hello and welcome back to my podcast. This is Florence and you're listening to the One More Book podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, hello and welcome to my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share if you like this video. Today I want to share with you an interview that I did a few days ago with an amazing personality. She's called Elaine Thomas, and she describes herself as a singer, poet, actress, spoken word artist, Black Academy coordinator, business English coach, colonial history, and critical whiteness lecturer. This is a multifaceted creative who I had the chance to visit. She welcomed me into her home and we share a love for books. So I think that's what connected us. And we had an amazing interview. I had a list of questions that I wanted to ask her, but we ended up just talking. It was just like two friends talking about different topics.
It shows also a certain type of tribalism, of spiritual connectedness to land, right? If your people stay in the same area for so many years, it means that you're somehow spiritually connected to that land, no matter what. And I think that's very interesting.
It is. It is.
I think it's very interesting. I'm one of the left, but I still tell the stories.
Of course, you've carried it. You've taken your story outside because otherwise
no one would know it.
No one would know it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same with you. Same with many of us. You know,
yes.
We have Women's Month, and for me, very important is the Black woman's voice during Women's Month. Black History Month is everybody's
It's for everybody, but then
the Women's Month,
it's very.
And that's why I've been posting mostly black women's achievements that I pick up by research in that book. You know, what did we do? What have we done? But I've also have a seminar on African women rebels, sheroes, and revolutionists, and I've done that seminar about 5 times. I've collected about 60 African women from all over Africa who are high achievers, who have done something to change their environment. And I think that's also important.
It is.
You know, it's very important. And
we need more African voices, especially women voices.
Caribbean and Africa, you know. But there's not enough information. There's not enough information.
Because it's the men who are telling. There was a documentary I saw about the Grimm brothers, and it showed that they were listening to the women telling the stories, and then they wrote them down.
Yeah, I mean, even Grimm did that. Grimm listened to the mothers and the housekeepers from the neighborhood, and then they wrote the stories down.
Yes.
so men have been writing, and we need to do the writing.
Yes.
And that's why, you know, the celebration. We need to do the writing.
We do.
I have also presented these books in a workshop.
Okay.
And then you hear the comment, well, you don't have anybody from, and I say, it's just a work in progress. I'm still working on it. But the book has to be published.
Yes, of course.
You know? Yeah. And the best bookshops is here in Williamsburg for these kind of books. And in Shanson.
Oh.
The Shanson has the most books.
I need to go there.
The Shanson has the most books. We can go together. If you want to do a podcast we can go together. It's my favorite bookshop. But this bookshop here also has a lot of books. Okay. I bought about 5 or 6 here in Williamsburg. But Shanson is been doing it longer.
Okay.
I
buy my books from, there's a small shop in Bamberg, Hoffman. It's a really old, I think from the early 1900s.
Oh, wow.
And but of course I have to order them. So he tells me, it might take three weeks or 4. I'm like, fine.
Go to Shanson.
Nope.
Go to Shanson.
Okay.
They have a lot of books. They have a lot of books. They have a whole department. And you'll wonder, is there a black person in the shop? Because everywhere I look, you know. So, hey, wait a minute.
Who's the curator?
Yes, it's and almost, I would say for some groups, like, why is there so many black books?
Yes.
You know, no, I feel other nations in Germany.
I feel the movement there's been a big difference, a big change on availability of books. I was even surprised at my local library to find, and I wrote them a letter and told them, this is good, but we need more. And they said, thank you for I think we have to tell them that we want these books.
Especially for the children.
Yes.
You know, and there are wonderful books for children.
Oh, wow.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
If your child has that in their bookcase, then they have no problem with being black. Or a person of color.
So important. But the images are beautiful.
The images are beautiful.
And it's filled with there's history, but also there's how do you call it? Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yes, which is what children need. Yeah. Children need. I love it. I love it.
I gave the hardback to someone, never got it back. So I bought this one because I couldn't get the other one.
When were these written?
Maybe look at the
1995. Oh wow. I think it's after 2020 that people also started to bring to write more children's books. When they realized there was a need for them. The hair, we read that a lot in Kenya.
It's the same story.
Yeah, because it's he's the cunning one. He's always the cunning character.
And we put it, many writers during that time put it in our dialect.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Because we talk like that. You know, so it's in our dialect. So I think that's also something for kids. But here, this is more artistic. This is more Walt Disney.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But still. The first thing that he heard a tromping big heavy foot. There was the bear family coming right up toward the porch. Briar Rabbit jump up quick. He leap out from the tree and start to moan. That's how we talk. After slavery, during slavery.
Yes.
And also, you know, if you can understand it. Zora Neale Hurston only writes in that language.
So difficult to understand.
You have to read it out loud.
I would probably
just like African English, you have to read it out loud.
The other option would be to get it as a whole book. What do you call it? Audiobook.
But somebody has to do that.
Yeah, somebody has to do that.
No one has asked me to pay me to do that. You know, someone pays me, I'll do it.
You should. You should.
Someone pays me, I'll do it. I also have Mandela's stories here somewhere. I've also lent it out twice and never got it back. You know?
Yeah, do you read memoirs?
I read memoirs. I read memoirs.
You do, yeah.
So I read his. I read Winnie's. It's nowhere here anymore. I've read, of course, to teach. I've read all the Black Panthers and the civil rights and researching for these African sheroes. I read it. Whatever's there, I read it.
Yes.
You know, not everyone has written a biography.
Of course.
But some of the biographies give you a lot of the culture.
Yeah.
You know, without reading it as a history book.
Yes. So if
if we listen, for example, that Black Composer series there, those are some composers from the 1800s.
Oh.
Black composers from the 1800s. Then I listen to that, you know.
Yes. Because it inspires you.
Yes, and also because it shows me which artists there were that did classical music. It's not so well known. And then you can study who taught them, like Dvorak. or Rachmaninoff. The Jewish people that came to America and said we're against slavery, and they can come into our schools too. So when we're talking about the anti-Jew sentiment in America, then they should not forget how many Jewish people helped us build schools and let us in the front door of their supermarkets, made Sears and Roebuck so we didn't have to stand in the back of the bus and stand in the back of the store, but also made that we could order at home so that we wouldn't be embarrassed when we got out on the streets and the police would arrest us for just coming out. So we kind of forget that history too.
Yes.
And we shouldn't forget it, how many Jewish people in America, and it's just as many Jews in America as in Israel, were never oppressors of black people in America. Nope. And I researched that. I think about 1.5 had slaves.
Okay.
That's not
not
enough to get excited about.
Yeah. So true. So true.
And I think that's important to know. And they've written our story. They made us the first opera, Porgy and Bess. They wrote our music into their classical music, like Gershwin. So we have to be really careful of who we blame. Of course, they're a wealthy nation.
Of course.
And maybe we can learn something from that. Of course, they're a unified nation. Maybe we can learn something from that. They're also a very organized nation, very disciplined nation. Yes. And their spirituality does not stop them from achieving things.
It can go hand in hand. Yes.
And they don't spend all that time in the church like my aunts every evening go to church.
I know. When you read a lot of books by black authors, it is
the church is
color purple. It was.
Yes, that is very typical.
Yes,
I have a sister that's a pastor.
Yes,
I have an aunt that's a pastor. I have an uncle that's a pastor.
And on that, then for them, they feel like wealth is now evil.
Yes, and seeking worldly goods.
Yes,
advertising yourself.
Yes,
things like me being an artist or
singing.
They thought I was in the devil's workshop.
How was it? I know from what I've read, you were a break dancer.
I started as a
break dancer. So when did you then move into music?
Well, I started out as a break dancer to survive. I spent the first 6 years of my life in a children's village with 900 other black children.
Okay.
So, out of that experience and the experience of being a couple of years in the deepest part of the ghetto, I had to find a way to escape. And the way to escape for me was to dance. And I started dancing very early, but around 13 I started competing. And I competed to a professional level to #1 Woman USA. It was a lot of hard work. But it was a passion, and it was a way to escape the depression of poverty. But my parents, my father, strict Catholic, Piscataway, and his children, I'm the only child from him and my mother. They felt that I was, the devil's handwork. And over the years, me leaving and staying away was for them partly proof that it's partly proof. So I noticed that when I went home for my father's funeral in December, that some of my sisters and brothers refused to see me. The good Christians.
They are to keep
the good Christians.
Keep the spirit away.
We don't want you to poison us.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I think they're kind of proud of what I've done, because now I've opened a Black Academy.
Yes, congratulations.
And thank you. And that is an empowerment process. And if the devil opens up a Black Academy, I mean, then it can't be too bad. I'm sorry. Maybe we should redefine.
What exactly is he supposed to do?
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe we should redefine what is evil.
Yes.
Redefine what is evil and what is good. And I think literature helps us do that.
It does. It really does. And what a journey from breakdancing, and now you are teaching.
Yes. Well, I did, as a breakdancer with 15, I was picked as one of the talented children and went into the workshop for careers in the arts, which is a 4-department workshop after school. So after school, you went 4 hours again to school. And I majored in drama. And after that, we turned into the high school for Duke Ellington High School for Performing Arts. And then I graduated from there. So my profession that I learned from 15 to 18 was that of an actress.
Yes.
So from dancing, my teacher said, dancing girl, you're an actress now. So I became an actress, and I did theater and music for 35 years.
Yes.
Then I, because of my kid, I got kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
And I found it a bit superficial.
Okay.
Yeah, not irreligious, not demon-like, just a little superficial. And I wanted to do something deeper. I wanted to give back, and that's when I started teaching for 16 years. So I've been teaching for 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I met you at the class that you gave, the creative class. And how did you decide on what you wanted to teach, or did you know it from the beginning that, okay, this is what I want to do, or did you teach broadly before?
To be honest, I started out teaching singers, wannabe singers, technique, and I found they were just too untalented. I just found that they were too untalented and had too many hopes and dreams that were not practical. It's my profession.
Yes.
And you can't be a star after a certain age and you don't have a voice and don't have a melody and can't carry a tune and have no ear. It's too much work. It's just too much work to invest. I invested in dancing and singing 8 hours a day. Most of my career. Also while studying. How many people are ready to invest that amount of time? That's it. Are you ready to invest that amount of time?
Yes.
That's it. And so after that, I thought, well, I want to keep my language. I've been in Germany a long time, and what can I do? So I started working in camps for kids, teaching theater and music in English in camps. That's how I started. And then I got burnout. It's when you have 70 or 80 kids and you're a camp director.
You're giving so much.
You're giving so much. And when they come in your room at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, there's a mosquito in my room. Like, kids, get a cup. Open the window. Do something practical. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Yes, but I can't do it. I'm afraid. So I realized, okay, well, you might be slow to getting too old to do that, because you don't have the patience. And although I still do it every now and then, I just don't do it 24/7.
Yes.
So I started teaching English to keep my language. And after many years of teaching English, I was still researching. I started giving colonial seminars, colonial history, but also things like literature and writers and poetry. I'm still doing that.
Yes.
Spoken word, protest songs, still doing that, So it just branched out. And I think we all branch out.
Yes.
If we don't become in
in a box. When you put yourself in a box,
we all branch out.
Yes.
I don't know what I'll be doing next. I'm still writing on my 3 books.
I love that.
And I looked at Kafka last night. I went to the film Kafka.
I don't know.
Franz Kafka.
Okay.
It's the most read German writer of all times, other than the Grimm, and he had, what do you call that, treasure chest full of writings that he never printed, that he never wrote, that he had never published, and he was burning them in the film. His best buddy, he posted them, or he didn't post. He printed them after he had died. He still wrote a lot, but it's like a writer never kind of always shows you everything they've written. They've got so much. I've got so much material on the Schwarze Madonnas, on the Black Madonnas, on the history of Germany, on my own writings. And I have 2 poetry books, but I have hundreds of poems waiting to be published, yeah. And I just don't have an editor, and I'm not an editor, so that's the only thing. But I'm not giving that up, and I'd like to slowly but surely slow down my writing and do that. I think Alice Munro, she started writing with 65, and she's won just about everything. So I use her also as a kind of role model. What can you do until the end of your life? You can do so much.
So good.
You can do so much. And I think it's time now also for many people to hear my story.
That's what I wanted to tell you, that hearing you speak about trying out different things, I think even as women, when you say that, when you tell someone, okay, I'm trying this out, they'll always be like, and what about the other thing? And trying to hold you back. Maybe they don't mean to do that, but that's how it usually comes across. So what would you tell a creative who feels like they have more to give and they feel stuck?
Keep moving. Stop looking back. You're not going in that direction. Just keep moving and live your dreams and live your passions, but use discipline and time management to do it. I'm a teacher. Discipline and time management to do it. Otherwise you get muddled, you get mixed up, or you don't get half of it done. So you need a schedule, you need a plan, and I call it a ritual. So when I get up in the mornings, I clean. Then I meditate. And then I do my schedule. But that's part of the ritual. First I get my mindset. I clean myself of all things like anger and disappointment and frustration and judgment. Because we love to judge. That's what you meant. People can't judge you anymore when you leave that box. Because they were judging you in that box.
Yes.
And then you leave that box.
They can't find you.
They can't find you. So they're having a problem.
Yes.
And then if they're staying in their box and never left their box, and you keep jumping into different boxes.
Envy.
There's a lot of envy.
Yes, there is.
And that is instead of admiration, and using that admiration to spur you forward. And we have that problem in our Hamburg community.
Yes.
We definitely have that problem, envy instead of admiration. It would be so much nicer to admire people. You can admire Toni Morrison or Alice Walker.
Yes.
Why can't you admire your girlfriend because she's trying?
Yes.
Yes. Why not?
Yes.
It doesn't belittle you.
No. I think there's a saying, like a candle, when you light another candle, it doesn't make your
candle
go out or smaller.
No.
Then there's just more light to be used.
And I hope that each new generation finds ways to find themselves without the negativities that we have been
carrying over,
dealing with since I have been in Germany.
Yes.
And it's gotten worse. When we were few, there was more admiration because there wasn't that many. We were so happy to see each other. Hey, how you doing? Oh my God, I'm a black person. Oh, where are you from? people would say, "Can I touch you? I haven't seen a black person in 2 weeks." Can you imagine? I haven't seen a black person in 2 weeks. And now you have the feeling there's just so many nations. You have the Afro-German nation, you have the diverse African nations, you have the African Caribbean, the African American, and they all kind of stick to their nation.
Other corner,
Yes, and it's nice to be able to speak your own language, but it's also nice to communicate with others to get more languages.
Yes,
and that's why I'm glad that you offered to put me on your podcast. It's because we're two different nations.
Yes.
But we have different things that we have in common, like the love of books.
Yes.
And the search for truth, honesty.
Yes.
Faithfulness, and a certain spiritual outlook. I can see that, and I know it. I've seen what you write, and it's definitely someone that's searching for the truth, and that is where we all should be.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. So I have there's a passage that I saw that you wrote, which I'd love for you to expand on. It says, "I've worn many hats over the years: breakdance, actress, working mom, singer, spoken word. Some have fit and some were made to fit, while still others were customized. I don't believe in following, nor do I believe in giving up. You just need a feasible, practical, professional plan. I even have a hat for that. Call me." So, all these, how do you go through life carrying all these hats? Because do you put down one hat when you're doing something else? When you are, especially like a spoken word, when you're doing that, is the other hat, your singer hat, down, or do you find a way of having all of them together at the same time?
I think the older I get, the more I learn how to combine the hats. I'm a matriarch. Black America is matriarchal, and a lot of people want to ignore that, but it's in my nature. And so teaching through different venues is important. Giving the spirit back is very important. Giving information and knowledge back is very important. And it doesn't matter if I'm teaching or doing spoken word or singing. It's the same thing. The sound carries the knowledge. The sound carries the energy. And we are energy. That's the main thing that we are. We are spiritual energy.
Yes.
And any venue that we use to relate that spiritual wisdom that we have gathered, it doesn't really need for me anymore a hat. That's where I am now.
So I feel like you are a teacher. You were born a teacher, in a way. You just use different mediums to teach,
to search and give the truth. It's an Aquarian kind of quirk, Aquarian. You see that the water, that's the truth seeker, the Aquarian giving the water out. But of course, when I'm singing, some of the teaching is left behind because you want to entertain.
Okay.
When you're teaching, you don't necessarily need to entertain. Not necessarily. You put in a little jokes every now and then to keep the flow going and keep it interesting. So you use a little bit of that too. And acting taught me how to bring different characters together to make a character. So you take a little bit of that character, you take a little bit of that character, take a little bit of that. So it's not the hat anymore, it's the putting the characteristics together to make what you need for that moment. That's it. And it doesn't matter what job. Putting the characteristics together that you need for that moment to be successful, to get the job done.
That's deep. That's what we all need to hear.
Yeah. And it's learning how to do that. And that's what I try to teach. How do we do that?
And always keeping on the move.
Yeah, every day, all day, staying in awareness.
Yes.
All day, every day, staying in awareness. People get upset with the word Christianity or whatever, so just use the word awareness, higher awareness. It's just a name too. Spiritual awareness is just a name too. Shamanic awareness is just a name too. Voodoo awareness is just a name too. But it's just awareness. On your level, raise it higher and stay there.
Coming back to books.
Yay! Before our time is up, right?
So, you've shown me your collection.
Yes.
Do you have an favorite author?
I have some favorite books. For example, The Life of Granger Copeland from Alice Walker. These are 4 or 5 books in there, and there's a scene where he has several kids, and one day his wife gives birth to an albino, and he sees the kid and he says, "That's not my kid," and he throws it out the door. He just throws it out the door. I mean, so it's dead. And it's his spiritual search after that. How he changes from a bad guy to a aware guy in his old age. And his mother someone asked him, why didn't you know that was your kid? He said, yeah, it looked just like me. It was just pale. He said, but I just couldn't stand to feed another mouth. I couldn't take the responsibility of feeding another mouth. And it's a deep scene for me. It's how much responsibility we want to take. Then, of course, Barracoon is the story of the last American slave. It's Zora Neale Hurston is one of my favorite writers of all times in any case. And the wisdom, homespun wisdom that's in this book, as in most of her books, is for me very, very important.
I see you have also
another book that I really like. It's written by a guy. This one. I think he won the Nobel Prize.
Yeah, I read it. I loved it.
You saw it, you read it too. It's difficult to get into.
I know. It took me some time, but I'm happy that I finished.
The colonial story of Africa, and
especially the German invasion.
The German invasion, and the stories seen out of the eyes of Africans that he did. And I really like that.
Yeah. You don't see much of that.
No, and that's what made me buy his next book. Soyinka I love. Achiba I love because it gives me the wisdom of his tribe, of his nation. You know, the thinking patterns, how they celebrate different things, what they bring when they visit someone.
When a baby's born.
And all of that, you know, that is really fabulous. As you know, I'm a researcher, so of course, this book from, what's his name again? David Olusoga. Someone said, I'm tired of white people writing our books. I said, you have to look a little bit closer, honey. Look at the name. I mean, excuse me. But he wrote the story of, the colonial period seen out of the views of the soldiers. And that's Second World War II. I haven't read World War I yet. Okay, you have to get to that one. So that's a very favorite of mine. I have to put it on because it's well written. He did a lot of research, and it gives you the view from the panoramic view, and I think that's good. Who else do I really like? Of course, Toni Morrison. I have some other books in the other room that you've seen.
Yes.
James Baldwin, I love. If you look, I think there's The Fire Next Time. You see that behind you?
Yes.
And James Baldwin. You mentioned people who do audiobooks, right?
Yeah.
James Baldwin is one of the only people that I really like listening to, other than Nikki Giovanni.
I haven't listened to
other than
any.
Nikki Giovanni. I'm old school, so Nikki Giovanni is a wonderful poet, and they have done Conversations, and James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time, and all of his books. I think I have the collection. He writes so passionately and empathetically in a period of time when we Afro-Americans or Black Americans were in a process. We still had segregation in the U.S. We still had Jim Crow, which was 100 years of oppression in America. People don't realize 400 years is 400 years.
Yes.
And 400 years of oppression is a very long time. No other group, I don't know if the Jewish would say something different, but no other group has had that type of oppression like we have had. And how he writes about it, what it has done to us, our thinking patterns. It's not all negative. It's our view. And of course, we have lived as a minority group for that whole period of time as a 13% in a white community. It makes us also, that's also
that does
a difference.
Something to
that does something to you. We've only been 13%. We've never been more, which means we are a strong minority. And at the same time, we have done so much in that culture. We have made so many different types of music: soul, blues, gospel, ragtime, jazz, funk, hip hop, to escape that oppression. Literature, art, just so much. And he has the talent of putting it into a story, a cultural story with a wonderful language. So that's one of my favorites too.
I need to get into James Baldwin. I think there's a book about someone moving to France. I can't really remember, but it's a very, very popular book by him. The story, that's people say when you want to get into James Baldwin's writing, that's the first book you should go.
I maybe have it.
Yeah.
There's some Baldwin in the bedroom. There's Baldwin. So I do have a friend who is a Baldwin storyteller.
Oh.
Yes, Charles Reese, and he travels the world and tells and recites Baldwin. Yes. So that's very. Yeah, it's very rewarding and very inspiring. Yeah. And I think it inspires others maybe to do the same with their own stories. And my partner's son, his name is Sven Kaczyrek. He lives in Kenya, I mentioned it.
Yes.
And, but what he also does is he has a colonial story theater piece that he travels Europe and Africa with. And it tells the story mainly out of Kenya's point of view. Okay. How the colonialism changed Kenya. So he is in his own way, and he uses only Not just from Kenya, but also from Uganda.
Yes. Because of the Brit, yeah.
Artist, and he's now on tour also with a Kenyan older, he called her the queen, older woman. And so he is trying to also tell the story in the area that he lives. And I, just with the chocolates, for example. And I think if we all do that, if we all tell our own story, like my story, the Piscataway story, then people will understand each other better. We will understand each other better. We know the white man's story.
Yes, that's all we've grown up knowing.
That's all we've grown up knowing, and we believe his story more than we believe our own.
Yes.
True. Not to say that his story is not true, but we have stories too. And maybe he should also read our story.
Yes.
Or she. Any last question?
Tell us a bit about your people.
I did not find my own story until very late in life. I wasn't really interested. I thought all of us from the ex-enslaved nation are so mixed with white European blood that I really don't want to know. And there's an Afro-German who wrote his own story. He's a brown baby. He calls himself a brown baby. These are the that came from soldiers after the Second World War. And he sent me a picture of African warrior women. And he said, "That's your story. That's who you are. You're the fighter. You're the warrior woman." And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not sure about that. Just because I'm a fighter now, I'm a fighter. I mean, I'm a bodybuilder. I'm a fighter. That doesn't mean that's not how I started. So I started to research. And I found out that my father's family is from La Plata, Maryland, which is outside of Washington, D.C. And it is a Native American nation. And the nation is called Piscataway, but we call ourselves also Wesorts, W-E-S-O-R-T, and it means we sort of people. Because we're not one people, we are a sort of people. Because we have so many colors, so many, we just all look different. But we're all one people because we come from one nation. And I started to research. I said, well, resource, okay. And I could go back in the St. Mary County Catholic, church records, and find until 500 years the history of my people. And I thought, wow, that was before slavery. So we were here before slavery. Some of us were enslaved, some of us not, because Native Americans, same way, But which made me realize and understand, yes, we probably came over either with the British as workers or as Africans, much earlier, or we were just here all the time.
Who's to tell?
Who's to tell? So, and to find my own voice, as my mother is everything, right? Sierra Leone, Gambian, British, and whatever else you can mix out of the slavery pot, So to find my voice in all of these different cultures is not so easy. But our culture in America, we follow the father's culture, not the mother's culture. So I have connected more to the father's culture.
So You need to keep on researching.
Yes.
Because these are the stories that we need to hear. And you have to get an editor.
Yes.
Yes. So you have it, published so we can.
Actually, I have my resort book. It's finished. Actually, the story of it's biography, but also fiction of my childhood until I came to Germany and had my first child. That book is actually finished.
Good.
So,
looking forward to reading that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It was nice.
And I'm interested in your story too.
Yeah, I also need to research. It challenges me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you on my next episode. Bye-bye.